So you're thinking about diving into the world of solar power.
Big decision.
Huge. And like any smart consumer, you're out there doing your research, which is fantastic.
Definitely.
We're here to help you navigate all that because let's be honest, it's not always sunny skies in the solar industry.
Right. Unfortunately not, no.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into this a current affair segment. You shared it with us. It's from Australia.
Yeah.
And it highlights some of those, should we say, shady practices that are out there so we can help you hopefully avoid them.
For sure. And I think, while the segment is specific to Australia, a lot of the themes that it brings up are really globally relevant.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's that allure of clean, affordable energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it overshadows sometimes just that due diligence and that careful consideration, I think.
Exactly. And this segment really drives that point home with what they call the solar orphan problem.
Right.
Imagine this. You've gone out there, you've found a provider, you've gotten those sleek panels installed.
Right.
You're feeling good about shrinking your carbon footprint, and then suddenly the company folds. Poof, gone.
It's a nightmare scenario, isn't it?
Oh, it's devastating. And the segment features a couple, the Taylors, who actually lived through this. They did what seemed like thorough research. They even chose a company that they saw advertised at sporting events.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's a significant investment, which would suggest to me at least some level of stability.
Yeah, you would think so, right? Like, they have the budget to advertise at huge events like that. They must be doing something right.
Exactly. Sadly, as we see here, that's not always the case.
Not always the case, no.
How do you avoid becoming a solar orphan yourself? The segment actually points to over 850 solar companies going belly up in Australia over the past decade.
Wow.
So I have to ask, what does that say about the regulatory landscape there? And more importantly, how can you protect yourself?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, the segment seems to suggest that maybe there isn't the most robust regulation and consumer protection in what is a very rapidly growing market and a really important market as well.
Absolutely. What stood out to you in the Taylor story in particular? Because it seemed like they did some level of research.
Mm-hmm.
Were there any red flags they could have caught?
That's the thing. Sometimes the information isn't readily available. Like if you're just doing kind of surface level research, going to the company website, but were there reviews? Were there news articles about the company that maybe weren't so easy to find? Was there a history of complaints with consumer protection agencies? That's where some of that more dedicated digging, I think, is really crucial. Don't just rely on the information presented up front. Go that extra mile.
Go that extra mile, absolutely. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, what if I find a reputable company? They've got a solid track record.
Right.
But this segment also exposes another layer of risk, and that's the installations themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that can be a minefield.
Huge.
Yeah.
Case in point. This segment introduces us to Michael Hoffman.
Mm-hmm.
His solar system, thankfully, it works.
Okay.
But the installation process left his roof looking like it went through a hailstorm. Not exactly the home improvement he had in mind.
No, not at all.
According to the segment, this whole blame game between solar companies and subcontractors is a common theme. So you end up stuck in the middle. You've got this leaky roof, and those warranties, they just evaporate.
It's so common, and it can be really difficult to pin down who's ultimately responsible. Is it the company that you bought it from? Is it the subcontractor they outsource to? So that's why it is absolutely crucial to pay very, very close attention to your contract.
So what are some of those key things you should be looking for in those contracts?
Look for everything, but specifically, who is doing the installation? Are they employed directly by the company you are buying the panels from? Right. Or are they a subcontractor? What kind of insurance do they have? Public liability insurance, that kind of thing. And I think most importantly, who is liable for any damages? And not just to the panels themselves, but to your property.
The roof.
Exactly.
So it's really about protecting your investment.
Yes.
Both in terms of your finances and your home.
Absolutely.
Because you're aiming for that lower energy bill, right?
Yeah.
Not a legal battle.
That's right.
And a hefty repair bill.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want any nasty surprises down the line.
It can feel, I think, for a lot of people, a little overwhelming to hear about some of these pitfalls.
Right.
It can make you a little nervous, but it's not all doom and gloom in the solar world. Remember those key takeaways we talked about? Research, research, research. Don't let those flashy marketing campaigns or promises of free solar panels, whatever it might be, Cloud your judgment. Dig into those company histories. Scrutinize those contracts. And don't be afraid to ask questions. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't.
Exactly. And remember, what we're talking about here is the Australian context. Explore your local area.
Yes.
What does it look like where you are? Are there local consumer protection agencies you can reach out to?
Good point.
Online forums, community groups, Facebook groups, all that kind of stuff, where you can connect with other people who have had solar installed, learn from their experiences.
What a fantastic point. Because it is going to be different everywhere you go, that local knowledge is so invaluable. So we're going to leave you with this final thought. As this whole renewable energy sector, this green technology, all of it, it's growing so fast.
Yeah, it's exploding.
Who's ultimately responsible for safeguarding us, the consumers? Is it the government? Is it industry watchdogs? Is it the companies themselves? Or is it some combination of all of the above?
Yeah, it's a really good question.
And what role can we play as consumers in demanding more transparency, more accountability? These are the questions. Keep them in mind as you're navigating the exciting and sometimes very complex world of solar energy.
It's a journey.
It is a journey. Until next time, stay curious.